Culture Corner, what's good? Welcome to
What up?
episode 2 of Masters of the Gamerverse. I'm your host, Sha-Elemental, and I got my co-host now officially,
Yes,
Def
sir. DOS.
DOS in the spot with me here. And we're here to talk gaming once again. Go do a little deep dive here. So right off the bat, let's just start off and go in. Let's start with Project Kronos from Sony. Basically, this kind of ties in with the Project Q as well, apparently, now that we're finding out more information. But basically, just to give a gist to anybody who's not, up on all that, Project Kronos is basically Sony's internal initiative to push streaming, which I'm assuming would be in the same vein as what Microsoft is doing with Game Pass, Ultimate Game Pass streaming and things of that nature. Now, where that would tie in would be this new, what was Project Q, which is now the Sony PlayStation Portal, which, as we know now, basically is a streaming only device that will hook up to your router, but will actually stream your PS5 to the device. It's got a 1080p screen, 60 frames per second. It's coming at $199. And from our previous conversation last time, that hit the sweet spot. As we were saying, we were figuring I think we said anywhere from like 150 to 250 would pretty much be good, as long as it was, capable enough to handle the streaming. Now, I don't know, DOS, if you have tried any of the remote play on your phone at all or anything like that with the PS5.
Nah, so I'm not on PS5, so I haven't tried any of the remote play.
Now, do you have any experience with remote play, whether it be PS3, PS4, or any of the previous?
Nah. I've had a couple friends that are like into that, but I haven't done any personally. I'm sit at home, play it, and then I got the DS, still to if I need to rock out like outside the crib and the Switch. So
okay, there you go. Me too.
I like having dedicated, handhelds.
Yeah, well, I've used it sparingly in the past. For instance, like, say somebody's using the living room TV. I got a PlayStation Vita. I love my Vita, probably my favorite handheld of all time. Super slept on. Sony's fault, really, but we don't need to get into that. But I've definitely used that a decent amount for remote play. And there was always a little bit of a delay in everything. But I did notice the other day, and I've tried it a couple different days to just see if there was a difference, maybe with traffic and stuff like that, that would make a huge difference with the remote play. And just doing it on my phone, the response has actually been very, very good, surprisingly too, based on my previous experience using it. So my thought is, if it's able to do that on a phone, which has all these other things running in the background, using up, GPU, CPU, all that stuff, I'm thinking that this thing might actually run really smooth because it's only doing that and that alone. And like we were saying in case of use last time, kind of like the Wii U, like we were talking about, you can use it in those manners. Or like I was saying, like, the girlfriend's on the TV. She wants to watch her lame show I don't want to watch. I can still be with her, but I can be on my PS5. I'm loving that idea. I'm all over this. I'm definitely getting one. I don't know what your thoughts on it are, or on what we spoke on last time.
Yeah, I think I'm probably not gonna get up on it. I just upgraded to the Series S, so I'm in there. I'm on that side of things. But
okay.
I think it is great, especially for like people that have multiple kids and you got siblings trying to fight over the TV. I think that's a great thing to have to diffuse that, and everyone can still get their gaming in.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially like you said with families and stuff. I mean, depending on how many TVs you got in the house, it could be an all-out brawl sometimes for who's getting what.
Yeah, I'm saying spending $200 on a handheld versus another $5 or $6 on a new system and the TV, like, it makes sense,
Yeah, it does to me. As long as the performance is there, I'm 100% with it. I'm pretty confident that it is going to be a pretty smooth experience, especially whereas it's not going to be some proprietary connection directly with the PS5, which I've heard some people complaining about actually, but I don't know if that would work as well as the internet infrastructure that's already there. And if you have decent internet speed and a decent router, it should work pretty well. I mean, we got like at sometimes 4 or 5 people streaming at the same time here, plus playing games and stuff. I never have issues, but I also try to make sure I have decent internet so I don't have to deal with issues. But I found all that interesting. What I find even more interesting is, I don't know if you've seen this at all, but I've seen a lot of it because just everything I've been watching is people actually complaining about this, like as if this is a negative thing that people are bringing into the world. And I'm just like, I don't understand that, because the way I look at it is it's just another option for you to game. It's an accessory. It's not something you need to have. But
yeah, that always trips me out when people like complain about like just don't get it. You know, if it's not for you, don't get it. But it might push things forward in a way. You know what I mean? Like Sony might do something, you know, innovative enough or different enough that might give Nintendo an idea, and that's, you know, how these things go. So I'm all for people making more consoles, more ways for us to game, so that they could build off each other and build off each other ideas.
yeah, and the way I look at it, I mean, the Power Glove sold a bunch, and that thing was trash. So it can't be that bad.
Yo, they're still putting it in movies. I just seen Blue Beetle. It's in there. You know what I mean? Like Power Glove lives on, man.
I want to see that. I think it looks dope. The kid who's
Yo,
Kai is a good actor, so I think that's going to be good from what I've seen.
I'll tell you this, it's hilarious, and it gives me hope for DC's future movies. Like that, it's really good.
That's what I want to hear, because the ending of The Flash, I like The Flash, but the ending, I was kind of like, I thought this was supposed to set things up, and it just made everything more confusing. I'm like,
listen, I'll tell you, I skipped Flash in theaters and went to see Blue Beetle, and I'm not mad.
All right, fair enough. It sounds like you might have made the right decision based on my experience. I enjoyed The Flash, but the ending, I was just like, I thought this was supposed to kind of dead all the old stuff and set up the new stuff, and it was just like, what? Like, I don't know. You got George Clooney showing up all of a sudden. I'm like, what is going on here? Does that mean Clooney's our new Batman?
Listen,
no.
It's gonna...
But anyway,
we're taking it back.
Yeah, for real. And not a place people want to go either. That's like, I don't even know if there's a video game that exists that is as bad as Batman and Robin is as a movie, as far as what people wanted. All right, I lied. There's definitely some stuff that bad.
Listen, I still see that movie through like nostalgic eyes, so I can't trash it as much. It's still
might have hit it the right
time. I was very young when that came out.
Yeah, that's probably why then. I was already like all Michael Keaton'd out, and I'm like, what is this? But anyway, we're getting a little off subject. Now, yeah, it's crazy to me too. With the negativity thing, I find that is usually breaks down along party lines, if you will. You know, you got your PlayStation people hate on your Xbox people, vice versa. You got your PC people who hate on everybody, your Nintendo people who love everything Nintendo, even when it's trash. And I just don't understand the tribalism in it, because these are companies. This isn't like a sports team or the college you went to or like your family members and stuff.
I think people influence anything that they enjoy. I think the console wars, like at least when I was younger, like early to like PS2 versus 360 or PS2 versus regular Xbox, and then PS3 versus 360. Like it kind of felt more. I don't want to say authentic, but there was a lot more exclusives back then, and it seemed like you were on your team. But now that there's like so much crossplay happening, it's just about, for me, I feel like it's just about good games. Like I'll argue with a person that's pro PlayStation just for fun, but I don't understand people going like hard for real. And PC, they just like to brag. So that's fun. You know what I mean? Like they can do their thing because they do have the top gear, but it's about the games. You know what I mean? And different ways for us to play. So.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And the PC thing too. I'm like, I don't want to take an hour to set up the game before I can actually play it. I just want to pop it in and play it. Like, that's it.
Listen, someone's gonna hit your DM like, my cooling system lets me start this thing in 15 seconds.
Yeah, it's crazy. My brother got one of those crazy computers. The thing's like the size of a house. I'm like, what is this? You gotta buy like
he's gaming in excellence. All right.
Yeah, I guess so. It's crazy to me, but I mean, hey, to each their own. I mean, my whole thing with it is I enjoy all good games. I don't care what it's on. Like we actually talked about that last time too. Like I also just got an Xbox One S. Thank you, Verizon.
Yeah.
I'll give them a quick plug real quick. But I'm enjoying my S. The only thing I'm finding weird about it is I'm coming off of discs for everything. And I would have never chosen the discless version on my own. But now that I have it, I'm kind of like, I don't like this in a way. For instance, I bought Halo Infinite on disc because I was using my Xbox One. Now I
Dang,
go
can't
this.
play it.
I can't play the story mode until I
Dang.
Game Pass for Starfield, but that's a whole different thing. But like, I
Yeah.
was kind of like, I don't know how I feel about this. But I think the longer I get into it, I'll come to terms with it because I don't have that big of an Xbox collection, and I still have my Xbox One S anyway. So if I want to play those games, I still can through that.
Yeah.
But I enjoy all three. What would you call them? Walled gardens, if you will. I like you know, I like first party Nintendo stuff. I like first party Sony stuff. And when it comes out, I like first party Xbox stuff. I think the issue with them lately is the amount of those games. But that also brings me to something else. We were talking last time about the Activision deal. Since we were speaking, it's actually gone through now. They are ironing out some details in Europe with the CMA. And it looks like from what I understand it as, they are going to allow Ubisoft to handle the deals for streaming in Europe, I guess, and then hopefully that'll get that to pass. But ultimately, it's going to pass in one way or another. Now, what we're looking at now is we have this big release coming for Xbox. This might actually be the biggest release for Xbox that I can think of, maybe since, like, wow, I don't even know. Something on 360, maybe like Halo 3, one of the Gears, possibly, maybe like Gears 2. But my question to you would be, do you think this is make or break with Starfield?
Nah, I don't think so. I think I don't think any game is make or break for any system really. I think the way things are set up now, I think Game Pass is the thing. That's why everyone's trying to get their version of it. You know what I mean? Having a backlog at any time that you could hop into is the way to go. You know what I mean? And the ill thing about there's no way to play all this stuff. You know what I mean? Especially people like us, like worker people, we don't have tons of time to game. So there's tons of options and a backlog, and sometimes there's day one drops. So I don't think it's make or break, but like I'm looking forward to it. So I hope it does well.
I mean, I like I said, I subscribed to Game Pass just so I could play that when it came out and not have to spend $70. So they got my $10, $11. I do think it is a big release for them just based on how things have been going. But considering who the developer is and their pedigree, and even from what footage I've seen thus far from the game, what little's been out there, it already looks like it runs smoother than, say, Fallout and Skyrim, and how Bethesda is known for their buggy games usually. But this one actually looks a lot smoother, just graphically and everything. So I think this one's probably going to average like anywhere from like an 88 to 92 review score, probably just based on what they've done in the past, the way things look. I don't see this being a failure. It might not be a huge hit per se, but like you were saying, I don't see it as a make or break necessarily for them. They definitely do need to start coming out with more stuff more frequently, and obviously keeping the bar high for those things. But I think this will be the beginning of them getting back to a place where they're maybe not going to be like 1-to-1 competing with Sony, but they're going to be more than a 2-to-1 as they are right now.
Yeah, I just think I hope they don't pull a CD Projekt Red, because like that just shows that it doesn't matter what the track record was. It doesn't matter what your reputation is, how good your games are, how beloved they are, and how high people rank you as a company. People could still drop the ball in a spectacular way. So I'm glad it's on Game Pass, because after Cyberpunk, like, they burned me for $60. And even though I could get the patched up version now on my Series S, I'm not doing it. I'm still mad.
I don't even want to tell you how much I paid for it.
Oh, what'd you get, the pre-order special edition? They got you, man.
Oh, I got that, but I only paid $10 for it after.
Damn.
I got it at Target on sale like months later. Like I'm like, oh, $10. I'm like, well, they're gonna patch it.
Listen, man, they got me. They burned me heavy.
I still haven't gone back and like gone through and actually played the game just because I got so much in my backlog. I do plan to at some point, but I did pop it in just to see how buggy it was, because I remember like a lot of those videos were super entertaining because of how buggy it was. Like I remember
hilarious.
you first got in the car and you were like Christ on the cross, hovering above the car, rocking around and stuff. You're like, what? You're like, this is a major game studio that did this? Like, what is going on?
The first mission, smooth, greatness. I was like, oh, this is awesome. This is like, and I'm a big Altered Carbon fan. That's what I thought it was going to be like, Altered Carbon, but a game. And I was like, all right, this is what's up. And then after that, it was like, you walk up to somebody and it's just like polygons, no facial features, loading in like Killzone on PS2, man.
Yep. Yeah, it was definitely, I remember even after a few patches came out, it was still pretty bad. But now it runs a lot better from what I haven't loaded it in for a while, but even the last time I did it, it was like, all right, this is running a little bit better. I'm still going to give it like a year, wait till I get super bored and don't have nothing to play, and then I'll jump back in it. But I did like, there's potential in that. To me, it seemed like too, like that was almost like a first person GTA set in a city where it was more vertical. This how the city was set up.
Work. Now the idea is great and the setting's great. There's a lot of good things about it. It's just the execution it just wasn't a finished game. And people like me had to suffer the consequences of this.
Yeah, I'm glad I wasn't a huge Witcher fan, because otherwise I probably would have been there day one with you.
Listen, man, I was like, they made Witcher 3. I was still playing it. I was like doing side quests, trying to get, my full armor sets for no reason, fighting dragons. And yeah, they got me.
That was one too, The Witcher 3. I was playing it on my PS4 Pro, right? And it looked like somebody smeared Vaseline all over the screen. And I was like, how are people playing this on the Switch? I'm like, how do you play the game on the Switch knowing that it looks even worse than this?
I guess some people play like, I wonder, I hope this is a thing more often, because as much as I like hyper-real games, I like when people just pick an aesthetic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, when I think of that, I think of games like Minecraft, where it's like
Minecraft.
If you were trying to make a Witcher level graphic game and it came out like Minecraft, people would clown you and like it would be trash. But if that's the point, you know what I mean? Like I would love to see a game in this like aesthetic of like Conker's Bad Fur Day. You know what I mean? Like if it's on purpose, you know what I mean? Everything doesn't have to be. I'm talking about the original, not the like remake.
Oh yeah, no.
But like I like, that N64 style. Like I still like it graphically. And you can run it like way smoother. So I kind of enjoy when people aren't super focused on the heavy, like hyper real stuff.
Yeah, definitely. I think gameplay should always come first anyway, because really that's what's going to keep you there. Something can look great, but like, even Lego games are fun. People don't get those because of the graphics.
No, amazing, man. And it's co-op, man. It's co-op.
Yeah.
Like co-op is a dying like
it is
art.
We need more of that.
Mean?
Let's segue right into that. Might as well. So co-op. What is your favorite co-op games? And what have you been playing recently, if anything, because there's so few and far between nowadays?
Yeah, so because I have a Wii U, I got it so I could play with my son. I got a 6-year-old son. And Nintendo, they take into account the families, like for sure. You know what I mean? Like a lot of the Super Mario games, Kirby, Yoshi, they have a system where like it's co-op, it's drop in at any time, but also, the second player or one of the players could like hop in a bubble and just follow along. You know what I mean? They're keeping it in mind. And like a lot of their games are like that. Even if you don't use the option, it's like there for you. They can hop in, hop out. So that's like the recent co-op game. Like I just beat Kirby Return to Dreamland. Amazing game. They just made a reboot for the Switch. That looks great. But I think one of the greatest co-op games, and there's no other game like this, is called A Way Out.
Okay. I was gonna bring that up to you.
Have you played it?
I have. I haven't finished it.
I'm not gonna say anything for anyone listening, because the end, it's like if you spoil it, it kind of ruins it. But basically, you're two characters. It's online co-op, and you start off in jail, and you meet the other character in jail, and you plan an escape, and that's how it starts. And you go through the entire game, making decisions that affect the other character, and it's incredible. And I really wish they made more specifically co-op games like that, because I think more people want it. It's just, I think not enough people are vocal about that.
Yeah, I think that, and that maybe companies don't see as much money in that, especially with everybody being online nowadays and not so much in the same room. But that being said, A Way Out, you could play that online co-op as well, whether it was in the same room or over online. So either way, that one worked. And yeah, that game, it was so dope. I haven't finished it, but I mean, just the idea, like, small spoiler, but like the part where like you're both in the cell and like one of you has to do something and then the other's watching out for the guard while you're doing it.
Yeah.
Like you keep going back and forth until you get what you're trying to do done. Like just those small little things like that. Like stuff like that needs to be taken into other games. One of my favorite co-op games is actually a game that gets a lot of heat from people, but it was just fun to play with somebody else. Resident Evil 5. Because I'm a huge
I love that game. I love that game, man.
I did too, but I mean, it was a little questionable with the whole white guy going to the African country and shooting all the black people thing.
Yeah, it was wild. It was wild on the politics side. It was very fun. I had a lot of.
But yeah, that game was fun. Like it was just good, especially after Resident Evil 4. Like that was the high mark at the time, and it was just like, wow, now I get to play like that same type of, those mechanics and everything with somebody else. That was dope, and how like. It was kind of the same thing in certain instances, in like A Way Out, where one of you had to go over here and do this, and the other person had to watch their back and all that stuff. Like that stuff, it hits when you're working with somebody else, and it's like you get somebody who you can actually like click with, who's like, no, I'm going to really do this. It's kind of like, I'm sure we've all been there in Call of Duty when you're like, all right, I'm going to do this mission. You're online or whatever. Say you're doing say you're doing quads in like Warzone, and you got like 3 other boneheads that don't listen, just do whatever they want and get killed in 3 seconds, and then you're off on your own the whole time. Like it's kind of can stink, and it just sucks the fun out of it. But these games kind of force you because there's no way for you to progress without doing this. And it's definitely a lost art. There's been so many.
Sure, I think another one that is really really dope is called It Takes Two.
I've heard really good things about that. Yeah.
Listen, it's actually from the creators of A Way Out, so it makes sense they made another banger. But it's like, it's an interesting story because it's like 2 parents, a man and a wife that husband and wife, they get transported into their daughter's 2 dolls, and they're right before the game starts, they're like about to get a divorce. They're like, it's at the end, and then they go into these dolls and they basically have to try to reach their daughter like as toys and get her to pay attention to them and turn them back into humans. And they're kind of, seeing what's wrong with their relationship during the way. And there's a bunch of really, really interesting mechanics because they're dolls going through different toy worlds. Like there's, like toy trains and all the different, basically collection of toys that the daughter has around the house that come to life and interact with them. But that's definitely one worth playing, and you can play that one couch co-op or online.
That sounds dope. I like the premise of that too. That's different.
Yeah. So if you're going through it with your girl, that might expedite the process. Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah, one way or the other.
You need someone to play with though.
Now that's on. I think that's on almost everything now, right? Pretty sure that's on Switch, Xbox, PlayStation, so you can get that wherever. I'll definitely be checking that on because I've heard great things about that several times. Now
it almost reminiscent of like a Little Big World, like that type of like style.
Okay, yeah, that's dope too. Little Big Planet was dope.
Little Big Planet, yeah.
Especially the first 2. The third one, when somebody else came in and made it, it was still good, but it wasn't as good. But you can thank those for Mario Maker, because let's be honest, there would be no Mario Maker without Little Big Planet.
Word. Yeah, Mario Maker is, people be going wacky in that game.
Those automatic run ones where you can't stop running the whole time are crazy. The stuff people come up with, I'm like, how did you do this? You go to MIT? Like, what's going on? Yeah, like, there's like real science behind this.
Word.
Those are good. Now, speaking of Nintendo, I don't know. I don't think we covered this last time, but there's been a lot of rumblings about their next console, a lot of talk online, but obviously nothing concrete coming out. I mean, I think we both were pretty much like, it's pretty much going to be a Switch 2, essentially. I don't know about you, but I don't see any like weird gimmicks coming out, because really at this point I don't know what that would be, considering the Switch already has motion control and can do everything that we could do. So I'm not sure what they would even do unless they did something in the VR space, which there has been rumblings about. But at the same time, I don't know if VR is to the point where Nintendo would want to really do anything with it, because they strike me as they either want to be the first to do something and do it well, or they're going to wait till the tech is there to do it correctly. And I don't know if VR is there yet.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I think Nintendo has shown that they're willing to try stuff at least. You know what I mean? That's the one thing you could say that's different between Nintendo versus. I mean, I think the other consoles try, but like Nintendo really goes for it. You know what I mean? They were like, we're going motion control. It wasn't like an attachment. It was like the system. You know what I mean? When they went with the Wii versus like a Kinect or you know, like PlayStation doing their motion control.
Yeah,
thing. So it's like
both of those were in response to it, pretty much too. So.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm excited to see what, if anything, that they put out. But a VR thing would be dope. You know, Nintendo has the Super Mario Kingdom like theme parks. So who knows if they, you know, start putting stuff in there where it's like virtual, you know, VR Mario stuff like that.
Well, I think that's where they have the advantage is IP.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, they have a deep catalog of characters. I mean, you got all the Mario characters, Donkey Kong basically is a Mario character now, but you know, same universe. But I mean, they got that Metroid. Like they could do a lot of good stuff with VR if they figure out a way to do it right. And if they were to do it, I think they would be the people to do it right, honestly. Because I mean, how many failures have they really had? Well, you got the Virtual Boy in the Wii U, and really, I think the Wii U case was a case of just bad marketing, bad explanation of what it even was to begin with. Because really, the system itself was pretty cool and did some things that were interesting. But when you don't sell enough, then third parties don't take advantage of those things and you don't get the games. And pretty much is what happened with that. Because I think that sold like 13, 14 million maybe. Pretty much that and the Vita were neck and neck for like, oh, who sucks more? Which is kind of funny because I love both those systems. But
yeah, it holds up, man. I'm still rocking with the Wii U, man. And I'm trying to like pick up games for it. And they're still, listen, man, Nintendo, they hold up, man. They hold up.
You play Toad's Treasure Tracker? That game
I haven't played that.
That is
like
dope.
I was trying to get you know, or I did get Mario Galaxy, and it was still like $40. It's crazy.
Oh yeah,
Mario Galaxy 2, same thing. It was like these games, they hold up in their value, and I think that, you know, speaks to the quality. Like not many games from other systems are holding up like that.
No, I think it's twofold thing. It's the quality, and then it's how Nintendo goes about printing up physical copies. Because they always kind of toe the line of like, oh, you know, we might not have enough for as many people as want it, but they will eventually. But you notice Nintendo never drops the prices below what, like $40 maybe. I think is the cheapest I've seen, like Mario Odyssey and like Breath of the Wild, and those are like old Switch games. At this point, you know, it just seems like Nintendo kind of I don't know if they're doing this. They must be doing it on purpose, but they kind of manipulate the market by not selling stuff cheaply on their own, whether it be physically or digitally. Because if you look at like most games that come out on like PlayStation or Xbox, whether they be first party or third party, you usually know reasonably within like 3 to 6 months, you can probably get that game half off, if not more, depending on how it did sales wise.
Yeah, that's something crazy. Is nowadays, like, if it does bad, like next week might be a ill sale. Like, that's
because I think like with Cyberpunk, like I was saying, I paid $10 for that. I think I waited maybe 3 months after launch.
Yeah,
but it was doing so bad that they're like, just take it, please, somebody.
Yeah,
I was like, all right,
we gotta pay the rent at the studio, please.
Like, please, somebody take this.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Yeah, I think it's good. I think you know, it could be like a business tactic, but I think it does say something about their ethos of like we make quality, and it just because it's old doesn't mean it's not quality anymore. And it doesn't matter if it's for the 3DS, the Wii U, the original Wii. Like this is a quality experience, and it still is. You know what I mean? I'm running through these older games, and it's like, wow, like I missed out at the time, but I'm glad I could still play them now. And the only thing that sucks is, you know, when they shut down the digital stores, it's hard to get, you know, certain games. You got to like just wait a little bit for, you know, to get them shipped from wherever they're at.
Yeah, that was the one thing that bothered me from Wii U to Switch, just the digital store not transferring, and then changing how they were doing the virtual console and all that. Because I know on my Wii U, I was like, oh, word, let me get every Mario game ever. Boom, done. Even Dr. Mario. I was like, let me get Metroid, Super Metroid. So I picked up like these old games. And then when I got the new system, I'm like, oh, can't download them to here. I'll have to buy them again.
Yeah.
That bothered me. But I'm thinking they've smartened up on that. And I mean, they would be foolish not to have your digital library transfer over to the next system. They got it.
Foolish or genius. You know what I mean? That's an extra sale for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing.
I will say the transfer from the 1 to the Series S was so smooth. Like all my save data, like just had to download some games, like everything just crisp. It was like, yeah, it was good.
Yeah, same for me. I popped it on, signed in, switched my external hard drive over, boom. I'm like, good to go.
Yeah. There's certain things like I didn't want to run through. Like I still play Ollie Ollie World. I didn't want to beat every level again. You know what I mean? But it was like right away. Like, nah, we got you.
Beat that?
Yeah. I'm trying to get there's like one level that I can't unlock because I gotta beat the high scores on like all the levels in that section. But yeah, I beat that, beat the DLC. I love that game. And it's like all lo-fi hip hop. Like it's amazing.
Yeah. That's like the RPG-ish one, the newest one?
Nah, it's not RPG-ish, but it's got a better like progression of levels. The levels are much more diverse, and like the customization is crazy. Like you can really get wacky with your character. And
okay. I think in the first one it was pretty straightforward, just levels.
Yeah, second one too was like more diverse levels, but it was like very plain with what you could do with your character. But now it's like you could change everything about him, put full cloud suit on, so you just look like a little Michelin man. Like all types of stuff. And then, you know, they added, you know, really dope DLC where there's like wind tunnels that shoot you high in the sky and like tractor beams from UFOs and stuff like that. Yeah, it's awesome. So and they added foreground and like background parts of the level. So you'll like move forward and move back into the level. So it's like kind of confusing to track when it gets, you know, there's a lot of stuff going on, but it's amazing.
Yeah, that's actually one of the things I love that Little Big Planet brought into platformers was the whole depth of field thing where you could go into the background, into the foreground and stuff. And that's cool that other people are picking up that and putting it in other genres too, especially, you know, with the 2D side scrolling type stuff.
But yo, what are you playing right now? What's the last game before you shut your system off?
So probably the last one. I finally picked up God of War Ragnarok. Again, thank you Verizon for your great deals. I'm like, I switch my internet and you give me free stuff. I love this.
That game is a classic.
So good. I'm only like 5 hours in, but I absolutely love it. Love the first one. It's phenomenal. Still playing Tears of the Kingdom. That game, I'll probably be playing that for at least 2-3 years, honestly. It's just Tears of the Kingdom is like a game that's so unlike anything else I play or have played because it's like when I fire that game up, I almost feel like I'm in the real world where I'm like, all right, what do I want to do today?
Word.
Because there's no like,
that's the best type of RPG right there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just so dope. And it's like, even when they give you missions to do, they don't necessarily like spell it out for you. They just like, hey, blah, 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 blah. And you kind of got to figure it out off of what they're saying. Now, I'm not going to lie. I get impatient and I use walkthroughs sometimes for some of this stuff because you'd be there forever trying to figure this stuff out, especially with this game, with how deep and layered it is between the 3 layers of the world, the different mechanics that you can use and the powers with the Ultra Hand where you can combine the stuff. And then you got how you can go through things in the ceiling and pop up on, up top and things like that. And then what is the other one? The reversal of time mechanics crazy. So it's like you can combine all these powers together to like figure out puzzles and stuff. And you'll get to these like shrines where like when they built it, they intended you to do it this way. However, people figure out all kinds of other ways to do it using just the mechanics that they're given to. So it definitely makes me hopeful for like future RPGs and just other games to kind of get inspired by that a little bit. I like the idea of less hand holding, because a lot of games it's just like arrow, point that way, walk that way. It's like a walking simulator. I know I've heard that term used a million times, but like it kind of is like that, because you're just like, oh, okay, I'm here. Let me go there. Talk to a guy. All right, he sends me over here.
I think it depends on what they're trying to go for, because sometimes like, you ever played this game called Control?
Yeah, I played a little bit of that.
Yeah, Control is the most hands off. Like, they have no arrows telling you what to. It's like, but it's like bad. It's like frustrating how like unassisted you are. So I definitely see that.
Because I played a couple hours of that game, and I got that impression, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna come back to this when I can actually like really like give it the attention it probably deserves. And now you're saying that, I'm like, oh, okay, because I was in that first building, and I'm kind of like, where am I even supposed to be going?
Yeah.
Like,
no, it's when you get to the other buildings and you like forget where the elevator is, and you're just stuck. And like, it's a great game. You feel like Neo in the Matrix, but I think I kind of like some assistance if it's a story-driven game. You know what I mean? Like God of War Ragnarok benefits from it. You know what I mean? Yeah. There is lots of open world, but I like being able to push the button and seeing the little trail on the floor, or seeing the wind go by and being like, if you want to go back to the mission, it's this way.
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned the wind, because that was one of my favorite implementations was in Ghost of Tsushima, is how
that was fire.
When you need the help, the navigation, it's just the wind blows a certain direction. You're like, all right, go that way. Like, other than that, it's not really saying, oh, you want to take us down this street, take a left, and like all this nonsense. It's just like, nope, just go that direction. You'll find it eventually. That game was fire too. I cannot wait for the sequel to that.
Yeah, so it's gonna be good. But yeah, for me, the last, like right before we came online, I just caught an L in Street Fighter 6. Shout out to whoever you were playing from Mexico. Took me out, but I'm gonna get better. I've been having a lot of fun with Street Fighter 6, and I actually picked up Stray recently, and
that game is fire.
Yo, it is mad fun. I'm a cat guy anyways, so it's cool, being this cat and just running around, and like I like the science fiction like aspect, like humans are gone somehow, and it's like robot world.
Like what happened, why, all this.
Yeah, man, I'm enjoying it a lot, and like sometimes it's cool to not. I'm a big action game guy, but sometimes it's cool to just have like a adventure, something you could just take it in and move along. You don't have to like
experience. You don't have to be on the edge of your seat like the whole time.
Yeah. But you still kind of are. You know what I mean? There's like a mystery involved, and like that's the thing. Like you can't get from a movie. A movie you could get some suspense and stuff, but it's like with the game you could get the full like involvement. You're trying to figure this out. You're trying to catch these clues.
Yeah, and that's what I enjoyed about that game, because the more you played it, you're like, yo, I really want to know why this is happening. Like, what happened? Yeah. Why is this world like this? Like, what's going on? It was really cool, and I thought it was really cool how they worked in like the platforming, but from a cat perspective, I thought that was dope. Like just the way they thought all that stuff out. I was like, this is a quality game.
Yeah, good writing. Like I like the dialogue in there.
Yeah.
Like some of the robots are a little like zany, you know what I mean? Some are like a little more serious, but I think it's good. It it reminds me of like good writing from games like Mass Effect.
Yes,
yeah. Where it's like I spent a lot of time in that game just taking in the world and learning about, the different species and talking to people. And it was enjoyable because the writing was good.
Yeah, those games, the first three were great. Andromeda, not so much, but and I had one more I was still playing, just because you were talking about fighting games. I had to bring this up. Not technically fighting, I guess it is, but I've been playing on Xbox anyways. AEW Fight Forever. I'm a big wrestling fan. Speaking of which, we will be starting the Culture Corner Wrestling podcast. I'm not sure if that's the official name yet or whatever, but we'll be starting that soon. So be on the lookout for that. But yeah, I've been playing that. And I don't know if you played any wrestling games back in the day.
No Mercy was my joint.
Okay,
perfect. But let me tell you, as a wrestling fan, I stopped being a wrestling fan after the Attitude Era. Like once John Cena like hit the scene, it was like it was over for me. Not because of him, but it was just at that time.
No. For me,
I stopped watching wrestling.
I stopped at the same time, and it pretty much was because of him. But for me, I was just like, I felt like the dude was mocking me. I'm like, yo, is this dude trying to like the white rapper? And he made it so corny, like, yo, like, come on, man, like. I don't know. It just insulted me to my core for some reason. And then I was like, yeah, I'm good with this. It just got really corny at that time. And then in about 2014, I think, they came out with the WWE Network. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to subscribe to that. Watch all the cool old school stuff that I used to watch back in the day. And like all the biographies and all that stuff on there. And I happened to stumble upon like one of their news shows or whatever, like I think it was Raw or something like that. And this dude Kevin Owens came out and confronted John Cena and kicked his ass like immediately. It was like his first time ever out, and I'm like, yo, I like that dude. I can't stand John Cena, and this dude just whooped his ass day one. I like this guy. And it got me back into wrestling. And then a couple years later, they launched AEW, which is basically like it's a competitor to WWE. They're not quite as big, but they're definitely like a good alternative for the business in general of wrestling because it gives people more opportunities and things like that. But they came out with this new game called AEW Fight Forever. And basically the inspiration for it was WCW Revenge and WWF No Mercy for the N64.
Listen,
so
man.
It controls and feels just like those games, but with the AEW roster.
Damn, I'm gonna have to try it out then, because No Mercy, man, it had the black cartridge. Like I still remember it. Like that was one of my favorite games, man. It had the intro songs for everybody, and you could customize characters. Let me tell you something. Me and my cousin, we were like both fans of hip hop, and like for some reason, like this is the time Ludacris and Mystical both had hit records out, and we made them both as customizable characters in the game and had them fight. And it was hilarious. Yeah, man. Yeah.
He's not doing so good these days.
Nah. It's a wrap for him.
Yeah.
But at the time, you know what I mean? That lets you, whoever you wanted to do, you could put yourself in it. It was like ahead of its time a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yep, definitely. I had Danger on vinyl. I'm not gonna lie.
I had it on cassette. Even when CDs were out because I couldn't afford a Walkman yet.
Yeah, them the days. But yeah, if you like those games, definitely mechanically and gameplay wise, it's right along those lines. It's a little bare bones as far as like game modes and stuff, but it is their first game. So that's kind of to be expected, especially in a sports type of game like this. But I definitely think like if it goes on sale or something, definitely pick it up if you like those games. It'd definitely be worth it. You'll get some fun out of it and stuff. And I definitely see in the future, like it definitely potentially could challenge the 2K series, but there is a slight difference. This is more arcadey and fun. The matches are shorter, whereas the 2K series is more simulation and everything's a little bit more plotting and slower, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Matches
man, I can't shout out to y'all that can rock with the simulation sports games. I can't do it, man. I can't. The closest I can do is UFC, and that's just because that's a contact sport that even if it's simulated, it's like people are getting knocked out. But man, I can't do it, man. I want some fun. Like bring back EA Sports Big or some type of analog where it's like let's take these things that people like. It's amazing to see someone, hit a home run or shoot a 3-pointer. Like it's amazing to see these things done. I want to see it from the other side of the court. Like I want ridiculous things to happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel you. I'm a fan of the sports games. I can't lie. But my thing with it is more the competition against who I'm playing than really, I guess, the game itself. For instance, in Madden, it's more of the mental part of the game for me. The X's and O's and stuff like that, and the strategy behind it.
No, I get it. I can't get past the game, man. The only time I play those games is when I'm trapped at like a friend or a family's house that's all they play. Then I'm in there. I'm just like, all right, like this is what we're doing. I got no choice.
I will say though, I play a lot of NHL and I don't know nothing about hockey strategy whatsoever, so I have no idea what I'm doing. But I'm pretty damn good. Consider. For a guy who doesn't know what the hell he's doing, I'm all right in that. Now, one thing I did want to get into, you see here, I guess we can go out on this, is game suggestions. I know you already made a couple, but I did have one. Now, this game is actually available on PS3, 4, and 5, and the Switch. And to me, it's Ghostbusters Part 3, and it was written as if it was, which is Ghostbusters the video game that came out in the PS3 and 360 era. If you're a Ghostbuster fan, you owe it to yourself to play this game. The mechanics were great. The story was great. Graphics, it was good enough, especially on the new version anyway. It's a lot prettier and everything, but it's just a fun game if you're into Ghostbusters and you were ever into that. So I highly suggest that game. That's like top of my list. And it's cheap, so you can't go wrong.
Word. Yeah, I think like I said before, I think A Way Out, everybody needs to play that. Like if you're into stories, if you're into if you're into Shawshank Redemption, you know what I mean? Like if you're into, if you're into great storytelling, great writing, and there's good action in there, you know what I mean? I'm not gonna spoil anything about it, but there's, you're not just running around. You have enemies. But get your favorite game partner, brother, cousin, sister, whoever, and play that game all the way through. I really recommend that. And because I'm big on the 2D games, I think I gotta recommend Nobody Saves the World. That is an amazing game. It's top down, where you gain a whole bunch of different, like you start off like as nothing, like you have no powers or anything, and you just gain a bunch of different shape-shifting abilities. So you can become a turtle, a horse, you can become a ghost, and you all have different abilities, and you could take those abilities and shift them over. So you could take the speed of the horse and put it on the turtle. So when you turn into the turtle, you ram through them with the speed of a horse. It's ridiculous and it's awesome. And you also get like wizard powers and stuff and fight hordes of enemies. So you should definitely check that.
Sounds interesting. Definitely. Well, on that note, I think that wraps up episode 2. We covered everything we were going to cover. Anything else you want to add before we take off?
Nah, just play some games. Hit my DM 508 dose on Instagram if you want the gamer tag and want to have a chance at beating me at Street Fighter 6 before I get good. And I'm gonna be up on Mortal Kombat 1 when it comes out, so I'll be online.
Yeah. Definitely. And remember, people, I'm his manager, so if he gets really good and he starts whooping your ass, it's going to cost money to play him.
Yeah, man.
I'm going to keep like 5% because I'm a nice guy. You can have the rest just for whooping all that ass. We got this. But on that note, episode 2 is in the can. Everybody, stay tuned. We'll have future episodes. We're aiming for every 2 weeks or so, something along those lines. DOS will be with me for the long haul, co-host officially at this point. And tune into the Culture Corner, the YouTube channel, subscribe, follow whatever on social media, Facebook, yada, yada, yada. And on that note, once again, this has been Masters of the Gamerverse. We'll see y'all soon. Get out there and game. Let's get it.
Peace.